What's up, gaming world? Welcome to the first of what will be a plethora of E3, or I guess pre E3 reaction videos as we react to all the conferences as they happen live for you over the interwaves here. I'm Ben Boyce, of course. And we're all here on behalf of Short Pause. It's the rad website that we run, www.shortpause.com. Here with my compatriots, as always, Brent Felsing, Mr. Bender Holt, and Viper Strike himself, Frankie Ayler. Fellas, how are we this fine Sunday afternoon?
Doing pretty
So
well.
stoked.
Pump, man. That was a sweet press conference. I liked what I saw.
Sweet. Well, let's get into that. That's why we're here. You can see our Twitter handles above our names there, so follow us on there while you're at it. Follow us at the Short Pause as well. Um, so EA they kicked off kind of E3 in earnest this afternoon. They ran they're doing their EA Play event this year. First time they've done it. It's kind of an off-site event that has a bunch of stuff set up for fans to go and play games. It's actually two concurrent events running, one in London and one over in LA there. Um, but they went on. Their press conference was about an hour or so. Andrew Wilson came out at first, and then he got things kicked off. Went right over to Respawn. Some of this was unfortunately dampered by the fact that all of this leaked prior to the conference, so we knew everything that was about to be shown. But Titanfall 2 hit the stage. It's officially releasing October 28th, 2016. We got a multiplayer trailer, and we also got a single-player trailer. So let's start first with the multiplayer stuff. That's what they rolled out initially. So Vince Zampella came out on the stage. He introduced multiplayer, and we got to see a taste of this grappling hook for the first time and how this is going to factor into multiplayer. And this trailer was pretty sick. Franklin, I want to bring you in on this first, man. What were your thoughts on the multiplayer portion of Titanfall 2?
Well, having played probably about 30 hours of the first one, one of my biggest gripes with the game was always just the pilot versus pilot combat wasn't all that entertaining. This one seems like they took a lot of feedback from that, and the pilots seem to have a lot more gear at their disposal to make that moment-to-moment gameplay a lot better, definitely a lot more intuitive, and even the Titans themselves look a lot more agile. Just the game looks great. A lot of cool new
Agile is a bit
toys.
of an understatement. They're doing like backflips and
Yeah, man, they got a
like
grapple
flash
hook.
kicks and stuff.
Man, dude, they look like they took everything from that first game and cranked it up to 11. Um, Genuinely excited about it coming off of that multiplayer trailer, and I'm not, not a huge multiplayer guy, but man, Titanfall's multiplayer was awesome. Titanfall 2's look like it's gonna just pull me right back in with that sweet grappling hook.
Bender, how about that grappling hook, man? That looked pretty fun, right?
Yeah, looks pretty cool. I didn't play the first Titanfall because I didn't have an Xbox, but and it's typically not my type of game, the shooter genre. But this game does look pretty intense and pretty fast paced and really cool. So I might have to jump into this one, especially now that's coming to PS4. Even though I do have an Xbox now, I would probably play it on PS4. But it looked really cool. At the end of the trailer, it looked like one of those mechs did like a Kamehameha move on the other one or something. It's like some sort of energy blast. I thought that looked pretty awesome. So it looks like there's a lot of cool stuff going on there.
So this confirms the long-awaited Dragon Ball Z Titanfall crossover. It's a real thing. So let's get hype about that.
Yeah.
Felsen, you played a lot of Titanfall initially on the Xbox One. What are your thoughts now that we've seen the multiplayer for Titanfall 2? Of course, we'll be able to play this on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation this year, so it'll be a whole new way to game in Titanfall. What were your thoughts on the multiplayer trailer?
Basically what Frankie said. I mean, it looks like they built on a foundation that I really enjoyed in the first one. I thought the gameplay was awesome in the first Titanfall. I really enjoyed the online. And like you said, it looks like they added a whole bunch of new abilities, different features. I love the fact that the sword's in play. It just looks like they built on, the first Titanfall, which is exactly what you're supposed to do with the sequel. So I had no issues with the gameplay. I thought it was really exciting, really, really fun. I just want to play it. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks like a ton of fun. I mean, like we were talking about the agility of the mechs, but also of the pilots. I mean, the way they're running along the walls and some of the things they're doing with the addition of the grappling hook looks like a very very fluid game in motion. Kind of what they were going for. Some of the stuff we saw with like Black Ops, kind of the constantly in motion. Something that was initially set out to do with the original Titanfall is kind of just keep people in motion with the wall running and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Looks like they took it to the next level here. with Titanfall 2. So it looks really exciting from a multiplayer perspective. Now, of course, the other side of that coin is the single player campaign,
Yes.
which the first Titanfall was devoid of, which many people bemoaned. We now have official confirmation that there will be a single player campaign with Titanfall 2. And they showed us a trailer for that as well. So let's run around the horn again. Franklin, how stoked are you that single player is going to be in Titanfall 2?
I'm excited. That was the thing about the first game is like the story missions they had in the first one. Like there was
That's
definitely
heavy quotations on that one.
yes, very heavy. But it seemed like they had a really cool universe in place to tell a really cool story in. So that was like a huge missed opportunity to me from that first game. But obviously they know that. So the trailer we got for the story in this one looks really cool. It looks like they're gonna really focus on building that relationship between your Titan and the pilot. Just even the end of it was awesome, where he's just trust me, just just launches him into a wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked cool, and he sounded like Optimus Prime. So I'm
Yeah, he
I'm
had the
pumped,
spear
man.
going on.
Yeah. So looks like you're gonna be doing a lot of there's a couple Titan armies looks like that were dropping down there. So
Mhm.
it looks like it's gonna be a good time too.
Yeah. I think back to that. There was one stage in the original Titanfall with like those mechanical dragons or whatever they were.
Hmm.
I don't remember the level, but it kind of gave you a little bit of a taste of some of the underlying lore that was in this world, and kind of got us hankering for what a single player Titanfall experience might look like. Bender, you're a big sci-fi guy. Now that you've seen a little bit of Titanfall 2 and see what's going on in this universe, you have a little bit of an idea of what this story might entail. Is this a type of science fiction that you might get into?
Yeah, I think it could be. And the fact that it has a single player is just greatly increases the odds that I'm gonna get into this game because I'm not a big multiplayer guy. Although the multiplayer did look fun, I'm much more likely to get into a game if it has a cool single player campaign. So it looks pretty cool. It looks really interesting. Like you said, I love sci-fi, so I could see myself possibly getting into the game like this.
Yeah. Felsian, this was basically the number one request from fans as in the first Titanfall. It's like, look, we want a story mode in this game. Like the multiplayer's fun and all, but we want the other side of the coin as well.
Hmm.
So how excited are you that a single player campaign is going to be in this game? Is there anything in particular that you'd want to see out of this campaign? Like personally, what I like is when they kind of integrate the single player and the multiplayer into one kind of cohesive unit. So the things that you're doing in one affect the other, and it's kind of one big progression bubble. Is that something you'd like to see, or what would you like to see out of the single player campaign?
I just want a deep story. I want a deep narrative. I want a strong narrative. I like what Frankie mentioned, how they talked about how they're going to focus on the bond between the pilot and the mechs. I just want a strong story. I mean, this when I played the multiplayer, I kept thinking to myself, I'm like, man, I want to see a campaign with this high octane action, this crazy over the top action with these huge mechs that you can call down and do battles with other mechs. And we saw that in the trailer. We saw, using those swords and just the epic battles that were going on. That's exactly what I want to see in one of these in the campaign for Titanfall. I just think there's so much promise, so much potential there. I'm really excited to see that.
I mean, I want to see too some like gigantic set pieces. I mean, they really have to go above and beyond with this game. I mean, you're walking around in these big, huge mech tanks. So when they bring out these set pieces, like these things have to be gargantuan, like big epic moments that are going to be memorable. And there's some potential there for some really cool stuff.
Absolutely.
The final side of the Titanfall 2 coin, once again, this leaked beforehand, but it's just release date, 10/28/16. Is a very strange release date, in my opinion, because Battlefield 1 comes out a week earlier on 10/21. I don't know. I mean, I understand that they're different kinds of games, and they may or may not appeal to a different kind of audience that I'm not even entirely sure about. But I don't know. Let's bring you up first on this, Bender. What do you think about this release date, dude? Is this something that is just too close to Battlefield 1?
Could be. I don't know. I don't know if they would really. I mean, there's probably going to be a lot of crossover people who are going to want to get both games, but they might be kind of cannibalizing their sales from one game to the other. So I don't know.
Frankie, what do you think, man?
That's a tough spot though. You're talking a week after Battlefield 1, which a lot of people are going to be buying. You're still at a week before Call of Duty, but that's That's a lot of first-person shooters in a very short span of time. So, Titanfall, I feel like it's got something to prove still. You're coming in between two juggernaut, first-person shooter franchises. And the first one being exclusive to one console, it's unproven if that second market's going to really be enough for them, to bring that game really into the spotlight. So releasing between the two first-person shooters that millions of people are anticipating I don't know if that was a smart call. I would personally, if I was Titanfall, I would be before those, but that's EA's call. They feel confident enough that the Titanfall community is not going to, it's not the same market as the Battlefield 1 community. So whether or not that's true, we'll see. But that's a tough spot for that game to be coming out in.
Brent, like Frankie said there, it seems like EA is banking on that there's going to be different audiences for these games. Now, I personally don't believe that. I think the people that are playing Battlefield 1 are going to be the people that want to play Titanfall 2, are going to be the people that want to play Infinite Warfare. So this release date literally makes no sense to me. I don't know why you would bring out two of your biggest games back to back when Call of Duty is looming as well. Regardless of what you do or what you say about Call of Duty, that game's going to sell millions and millions and millions of copies. It has a hardcore fan base that's going to pick that game up no matter what. So for them to come in and try to poach people from Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty in between that with Titanfall 2, I'm not buying the strategy. What do you think, man?
Yeah, it is curious, but I mean, look, if people are fans of shooters, they're gonna buy all three. You have that group, and I mean, there are gonna be some people that look at Titanfall 2 and be like, you know what, that's not my type of game. That's not the type of game I want to play. Titanfall is going to play incredibly different from Battlefield 1. And you are going to appeal to two different crowds. There are going to be some people that don't like that futuristic play, and they're going to go with Battlefield 1. But again, to have it so close, though, I mean, the only people that are really going to be stressing are the ones that plan on buying all three games, and you got to shell out another $60 the next week. So it's just, I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, where else could they really put it this fall? I mean, there's so many games coming out this fall. I just wonder if these publishers are like, there's nowhere else where we can put these things.
That's the thing. It's like, why even bring it out this fall?
Yeah.
Why not either put it at the beginning of the fall? If you want to do the fall, you do it early in the fall or do it later in the fall, or just hold it off till the springtime, which was when the last Titanfall came out and it was successful during that time window. Why try to cram it in between arguably the two biggest shooter franchises in the world? That just doesn't make any sense to me.
No, I mean, like I said, I agree with you. It's a curious decision, and I would love to hear EA's reasoning behind it. I mean, I'm sure there's a method to their madness. They got people that crunch numbers all day, and they know what to expect, and they have projections, and they have an idea of who wants to play this game. So, I mean, I would love to hear from EA. I'm not even going to try to pretend to even guess why they're doing what they're doing, but I would like to hear from EA specifically on this matter. Like, why are you putting this a week after Battlefield 1 launched? It is strange, but there's got to be a plan in play here.
Yeah, and we talked on the podcast about when we thought Titanfall might come out. We were a little surprised that it was in the same quarter as Battlefield 1, but now it's in the same month. It's within a week of Battlefield 1, which is even more curious. So yeah, I'm definitely interested to hear what they have to say about that. And we speak from a place where we're privileged enough to be able to buy all three of these games if we want. Some other people don't have that decision. So they're like, these three games are coming out. I'm going to have to make a decision on which one I want to buy and which one I want to invest my time into. And one of these multiplayer suites has to suffer as a result. I mean, you can't commit yourself to Battlefield, Titanfall, and Call of Duty multiplayer, right? You got to pick one or at the most two that you're going to invest your time in. And one of these is going to have to suffer as a result.
Unless they're 6-hour campaigns, and then you don't have to worry about it.
I mean, the campaigns are one thing, but just from the multiplayer perspective.
Right. No, I see what you're saying.
Like it's gonna poach people from each of these multiplayer suites. So it'll be incredible. I'll be incredibly interested to see how the shooters work out this fall and how they sell and how they catch on and whatnot. But very, very curious release date for Titanfall 2. From Titanfall 2, we moved into our first EA Sports section of the show. That was Madden 17. Spent a little bit of time on that, talking about the Madden Championships and some of the things that we're going to implement there. None of us are super big sports fans on this show, so we're just going to we're just gonna move on from that.
Aw.
After Madden, we got Mass Effect Andromeda, and I'm really curious to see what you guys think about this. Frankie, let me bring you in first on this. What do you think about Mass Effect Andromeda? What they showed, the way they revealed this? Curious, man. What's your take?
And I don't remember because I was working at the time, so I didn't watch EA's thing last year when they revealed Andromeda. But I feel like for a game that's coming out, excuse me, in the first quarter, we should have gotten some kind of gameplay trailer.
Mhm.
In my opinion, it's inexcusable for them to have presented it this year the way that they did. This is a game that's highly anticipated by a lot of us. Especially Taz at the site here. He's a big Mass Effect fan, and I was severely bummed that we didn't get an actual like gameplay trailer reveal or anything. It's the second he said, and we know you're all excited. So later this fall, when we talk about it more, I was like, oh. It was just a huge buzzkill for me coming straight off of that sports segment. But what they did, like the little bit we did see, it does look like that game's going in a pretty cool direction. That ship looks really awesome. And I'm assuming that she is our main character, and I don't know that as a fact, obviously, but hearing her wake up and we're here, it's like, okay, yeah, I can get behind this. She looks like she'll be a cool character at least. So, I'm just bummed that we didn't really get like a full. Like I wanted to see Mass Effect in the spotlight more than all the sports stuff we got, but it's their market, so whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Bender, what do you think, man?
I agree with Frankie. It was cool what they did show, but it would have been nice to see more. It's a game that a lot of people are looking forward to. It did look good from the things we did see, though. But yeah, I would have liked to see a little bit more about it, a little bit more on it.
Definitely. Brent, what do you think about the way they revealed this man?
Well, how they kind of mixed it in with this behind the scenes. Here's what we're doing to make this game, and it was strange. I would have liked to seen like an official. I mean, it didn't even have to be a gameplay trailer. It could have been a nice cinematic, CGI trailer to kind of get you pulled in, get you excited for it, to get you hyped. I mean, this video. I mean, we saw some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good things going on in this video. But I was just like, this is like an improvement on the wireframe video that we saw a couple years back. I mean, we basically hear these guys talking about the game that they're making, and we get some good footage of it in between. But that doesn't generate the hype that, at least for me. I mean, I'm sure there are some diehard Mass Effect fans that were like, oh my God, footage. But for me, I like to see story. I want to hear some music. I want to hear the characters, what they're going to do, what their plans are. I want to get a little bit of plot just to get me excited for it. But it was good to see it. But yeah, it was a different type of reveal.
Yeah, it was incredibly strange to me. I really thought we were gonna get something like a Fallout kind of reveal, like they did last year for Mass Effect. Like I thought they were gonna just roll out the gameplay, like have a big long segment on Mass Effect, like really debut this game for the first time to everybody. And like you said, what we got was mixed Office wireframe gameplay footage. It was a very strange reveal for me. This was definitely one of the most disappointing parts of the show. I mean, like you said, the game is coming out this March, and it's time to start showing us some stuff in this game. I mean, what better time than the EA Play event to show us what's going on with Mass Effect? So
right.
yeah, I was incredibly disappointed with the way they revealed this. Let's move on from there. They talked a little bit about EA Access. You got the EA Play to Give, the charitable program they mentioned as well. What is this exactly? Did you guys catch exactly are they just partnering up with different charities? I mean, what exactly goes into this?
It sounds like there's community challenges in place.
Yeah.
And, if you're able to pull off these certain types of challenges or whatever, it accumulates your points or whatever, and then they'll make a donation to a charity. I didn't get, really understand what they were talking about, but, I mean, it seemed pretty interesting.
Definitely. Then from the EA Play to Give, we moved into to another extremely long sports section. I mean, the FIFA 17 segment went on for like 5 or 10 minutes. What they showed looked cool. I was actually interested in this journey segment, which is some type of like story mode that's going into this soccer game. And then they showed some of the different managers that are going to be in the game. Stuff that sports fans are going to be excited about. It was good for that London crowd. I'm sure they were hyped about the FIFA segment. But from there, we moved into the EA Originals. Brent, what'd you think of FE when they showed this off?
I was actually I thought this was some kind of like an Ori sequel. This looks very cool. But the thing that I like about what they talked about this game was that its focus is on the music and that it's going to keep you going and that's supposed to add this atmosphere. I mean, the gameplay looked really cool. It looked very, very interesting. This looks like a very cool title. The guy that was speaking about it, you could tell he was a little nervous, but he was passionate about it. But the gameplay looks cool. There's a lot of exploration in this game. And but I mean, supposedly the music is going to play a big part. And it kind of, you guys were talking about it in the live chat. You were saying, you know, this looks like kind of like Ori meets Journey, which is something I could totally get behind. But it looks like there's some real strong elements to this game. There's some, you know, a lot of exploration, a lot of cool looking creatures and such as well. So I'm interested to see more. But I do like this whole FE or this EA Originals thing that they've started, where the goal is to get as much money back to the developers as possible, which I think is a really great thing.
Yeah, Bender, what did you think about EA Originals as a program? Seems like a pretty cool deal, right?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool idea. And if that means more indie developers are going to be able to come out with more games, I think that's a good thing. I was kind of hoping they were going to unveil Unravel 2 or something like that. They were talking about Unravel at the beginning, but it's obvious that they're trying to bring more games like Unravel to the ecosystem, and that's a good thing. I like really cool, unique games like that, games that are artistic and have unique gameplay elements and cool characters and stuff like that. So if they come out with more games like Ori and Unravel and this new Fee game, I think that looked really cool. So if the more the games like that, those are my type of games, really. I like those cool little indie titles. So I'd be down for more of that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Man, it looks like it could be a cool program. I always like when some of these bigger publishers kind of get into the little stuff and give back to the little guys. Frankie, what'd you think about Fee, man? It's a pretty cool looking joint.
It does. It looks great. Actually showed this one to Jen because she liked the idea of Ori before until she realized it was super challenging. So I showed her this one because she's a big fan of Journey, and I got the heavy Journey vibe out of that one. I love like these very artistic games that they're not necessarily driven by a spoken story, but just what you absorb from the atmosphere of the game. You can almost it's like an almost guarantee going into this that the soundtrack is going to be phenomenal, much like Ori and the Blind Forest. So I'm excited about it. I love when EA, like last year it was with Unravel. In the past we've seen games like Shank come out of their partnering labels with these indie developers, and I'm excited about it. These games are awesome, and it's great to see them getting the time to shine on a big stage next to Mass Effect and the sports games that EA shows. So
right,
that's awesome.
The guy that came on actually reminded me of the Yarny guy a little bit.
He really did. He seriously did.
Yeah, he seemed like he was the same type of dude. He was obviously passionate about his game, excited to be on a big stage like the EA Play stage or like the E3 stage. So and this is something that EA doesn't get a lot of credit for. They've done this over the years where they've tried to dip into some of these digital titles, smaller titles, and it's good to see that they're putting this Originals initiative together. And I hope this is successful for them. From the EA Originals, we moved into the Star Wars segment of the program.
Yeah.
And EA has got a lot of people working on Star Wars stuff. We've talked about this on the podcast, and they've got some of their top dogs working on Star Wars properties for the game, or for the company. And we got our first little tidbits of some of the stuff that's going on from the company. We know Battlefront 2 is coming next year. We know EA Visceral Star Wars title, the Amy Hennig joint, is due in 2018. We've got Stig's project in the works, and they're still doing stuff with their mobile titles and with the Old Republic on PC. Bender, what'd you think about what we saw from Star Wars and EA?
Got me super excited. I'm really looking forward to all these games coming out, especially the Amy Hennig Visceral game. We saw like a couple seconds of early footage of it, and it looked great. Just from that, it was just like a guy walking outside. It's like, okay, that's all you get, but it looked really good, and just whatever it turns out to be, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure it's going to be great. So that's the one I'm looking forward to the most. But Battlefront 2 obviously is going to be cool. I hope they add a story campaign to it, and just lots of cool Star Wars stuff to get excited about.
Yeah, Frankie, we heard that the second Battlefront will include assets from the newer films. So we'll get some stuff from The Force Awakens from Episode 8 in there. Not sure if the original trilogy stuff will still be in there, if they'll just go strictly with the new stuff for this next one. But we got a little bit of that. We saw, like Bender mentioned, there was a guy walking into what appeared to be some type of a street in on Tatooine or something along those lines. In the visceral joint looked beautiful from the couple of seconds we saw there. And then we know Motive's doing stuff. We saw some of the motion capture that's going on in Stig's game, which is going to be looks like some high octane action going to be in there, as you would expect from a Stig game. So what do you think though, man, overall of what we saw from Star Wars?
There's a lot to be excited about there. We even saw the first thing they showed you was just all the developers that they have working on Star Wars stuff, and those are some of the best teams that EA has in their stable.
Mhm.
I know obviously we're all excited about Stig and what Amy Hennig is doing with Visceral, but like you pointed out earlier, I think the most interesting one on there was Criterion. I never say the name right. Criterion.
Criterion.
You
Criterion.
say tomato,
That
I
was-
say tomato, right?
Yeah, right. AT, whatever, right?
You say Tatooine, I say Tatooine. I mean,
But it reminded me the last time we saw a game from them on stage, it was in a very early, prototype stage. So I'm wondering if that game has grown into some kind of Star Wars themed racing game where you have your TIE fighter aerial like racing shootout stuff, or a new pod racing game. I don't know what this could be, but that's the one that's I'm curious about to see what that's evolved into, because I feel like whatever they were working on before has turned into something Star Wars themed, and that's, to me, those games are always fun. So
Mhm.
obviously the other ones are going to be great, but that's the one that I'm really curious to see what that is.
the long-awaited Star Wars hang gliding experience from Criterion, now in development. Now, when we were watching the stream, I don't remember if I heard this right, but it seemed like, as we stand right now, Criterion was working on Battlefront with some of the other developers on developing some, I'm guessing, vehicle stuff for that game. Did I hear that wrong, or?
I thought it was Motive and Dice.
I thought it was. I think it's Motive and Dice that
Okay.
are working together on that one.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe they're dipping their toes into the vehicle stuff with Battlefront. Maybe not, but that could be a good way for them to get started on their own Star Wars joint.
Mm-hmm.
Felsin, what you think, man? So all seemingly every studio under EA is working on some kind of a Star Wars game. But what do you think about what we saw, man?
First off, good for you, EA. Way to milk that license, buddy. Way to milk that license. But seriously, though, everything that I saw just, I mean, if there's an EA Star Wars game every single year, I'm totally down with that. From what we saw, the Hennig gameplay, we saw a little in-game concept that looked great. Benner talked about that. We saw the Stig Osman. We got to see some of his the lightsaber battles. Obviously, it's a third-person action game. It's going to be very heavily focused on lightsaber battles from what we saw. I don't know if you guys saw, but I mean, they showed a lot of stuff, not just the gameplay stuff that we saw, but a lot of the stuff on the screens that the people were working on. Somebody was designing a trench run, and I don't know what game that's going to be for, but you could clearly see the trench. And there's going to be some sort of a trench run in one of these games, and I was just like, oh my god, yes, please. So I don't care who's making that game. Maybe that's Criterion making a trench run game. That's fine. I'll play that. But everything looked great. I mean, there was I'm mostly excited for the Amy Hennig one, but the Stig one from Respawn is starting to creep up, and man, I don't know. There's so many games coming from EA Star Wars. I think it's beautiful.
I like how you said milk it, but like in my opinion, this is the way to do it right. You have all these different teams making all these different experiences. That's the way to milk a franchise,
Yeah,
man.
absolutely. If you're milking it with talented developers, thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna pay all this money for the Star Wars license, you might as well use it properly.
Mhm.
So you got the Star Wars license. You're taking your top talent and you're letting them have 3-4 year development cycles on these games, and you're able to release a game every year because of that. That's definitely the way to go.
Mhm.
So props to EA for that. Now I wish we would have seen like some more gameplay of any of these games. I mean, I know some of them are quite a bit away, so I understand why we didn't see some of the stuff that we saw. But it's exciting nonetheless to think about what the future of Star Wars holds at EA as a franchise.
Hey, just take your point and be happy, okay?
I was actually just about to bring that up. And I was gonna ask.
I don't know. We didn't get any titles.
The thing I'm the thing I'm most curious about with this reveal is how this factors into my E3 prediction.
I'm gonna give you a point.
That's Bender.
I don't know. You did say they were going to show 2 Star Wars games.
And we
They showed several.
yeah.
We did technically see
They
two,
showed
though.
too many. They showed too many. They showed too many. No point. No point.
But what did we? But I mean, I don't know because like we saw Amy Hennig's game. We saw footage that counts. But what else did we see that we didn't already know about?
Well, he
I
did
mean-
say we'd see more on Battlefront. They definitely showed more on Battlefront.
Yeah, there was a title screen. Brent did say title screen would count.
I
Damn
would give
it.
it to him.
Hold on a second. Let me go back and edit that
We doing
podcast.
Price is Right rules? Is
No.
it the closest without going over?
I'm gonna go back and edit that out of the
Three games.
podcast.
No good.
Whoa.
I'd say he gets a point.
Well, yeah, it's the only one he's gonna get, so might as well give him one.
I like where your head's at, Bender. So, let's move on from this before people change their minds. Now the conference wrapped up with Battlefield 1, of course.
Ugh.
We saw a new trailer from the game. There was a multiplayer session running after the show, a 64-player multiplayer session. So awesome that those returned for Battlefield, and that's the heart and soul of the game. But Franklin, I mean, this is an incredible looking game. I mean, from everything we've seen, like the Frostbite is really putting itself to use in Battlefield 1. I mean, the biplane action looks incredible. These Zeppelins you can fly around look just epic. I mean, what do you think of what we saw from Battlefield 1 here?
That's another one that I came away from a lot more curious. I could have sworn I heard someone say armored trains, and I was like, what? And then at the end, we saw like a cavalry chasing down a train. So
Yeah.
I'm curious to know what in the hell that is. But man,
Respect, that was awesome.
yeah. So that game looks exactly the way I was hoping it would. The biplanes look like they're going to be a blast. You got all these ground artillery cannons and stuff. Like that game looks like it's going to be ridiculously fun. So
Mhm.
looking forward to some boots on the ground action with Battlefield.
Boots on the ground, I like it. Bender, are you a Battlefield fan?
Not really. I mean, this
No.
game does look very fast paced and intense, but it's not
Mhm.
really something that interests me too much. So kind of going back to the earlier discussion about Titanfall 2, I mean, although there is probably a very large cross section of players who are interested in both of those games, I'm not in there. In the Venn diagram for those two games, I'm in one of the little slivers on the outside.
You're in the
on the
Titanfall
Titanfall 2
bubble.
side. Yeah, so so it looks kind of cool, but it's not something I'll get into.
Is it just the setting on this one?
Yeah. It's
I-
too
I just don't think
I don't
Bender
know.
likes the violent first person stuff.
It's-
so that's
It's
my own-
it's a little too brutal and too historical. I'm not a big history guy, and I don't know.
Mhm.
The more
But,
realistic it is, the less I'm interested in it.
Right.
So I mean, I
I'm
like
a-
sci-fi and fantasy and stuff that's
Yeah.
like can't happen in real life.
hmm
So I
when
don't know.
multiplayer is like the big draw, you're like,
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. Yeah, if multiplayer is the main thing about it, most of the time I'm not gonna be interested in it.
hmm
So
Belson? Battlefield 1.
I liked what I saw from the trailer. All I'm gonna do is just spawn by those planes and just fly around, try to take down a Zeppelin. I don't know if did you guys see that when the Zeppelin actually crashed into the ground after it got shot
Yeah.
down? That's
Yeah.
all I want to do. I just want to be the dude that brings down the Zeppelin, or at least stand right underneath it as it comes down, just to see what it's like to have a Zeppelin land on your head. But no, the combat looked brutal. I like some of the melee combat that we saw, tackling people and wielding an axe and hitting people with that. So that stuff looked really cool. It looks like a great Battlefield game, and I'm happy to see them return to World War One, go back, or World War Two or World War One. Going back in time, as opposed to keep pushing forward or sticking to modern times. It's good to go back. It looks really, really good. It looks to be running great. It looks exciting, and that's all I want from a Battlefield game. I'm not putting too much stock into the campaign based on the previous ones, but I'm excited nonetheless.
I think to actually seeing this game in action, I do kind of understand how they're not really concerned about Titanfall and Battlefield,
Mm-hmm.
like fans intermingling. These are two very, very different games.
Mm-hmm.
Still very popular franchises, but those two experiences, you're either in there for one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
If you're, obviously us, we're gonna buy them all because we're crazy, but I think the customers out there who EA is going for, those people know exactly the experience they want, and those are two drastically different experiences. So
Hmm.
the other thing I'm going to be curious to see is, they mentioned that there's a dynamic weather system in this thing.
Yes.
Is that going to affect with the biplanes or Zeppelin? Like, do you see like these crazy storms blowing in that will change like that combat scenario up at all?
I would hope so. I think that would add. I think that would add to the. I mean, that's the only reason I can think of why you would introduce dynamic weather is to make combat, to change up combat. I mean, there were a couple maps in Battlefield 4 where you were on an island and a rainstorm would come in mid match, and it would change the dynamic. Like you wouldn't be able to see quite as far ahead. The wind was blowing, the trees were swaying. I mean, there's a lot going on when that rain comes in, so it does change the dynamic of the gameplay. We'll be interested to see how it affects the biplanes as well as the Zeppelin with those heavy winds and such.
Yeah, the more and more I see of Battlefield, one of the more excited I get to play. I mean, like I said, it's an incredible looking game from what we've seen, and it's just like you said, going back into the past now, it feels fresh again. we haven't been there in so long, and I can't think of a first person shooter that's been in World War One, at least that I've played. So going all the way back to World War One, giving us a fresh experience by going back to an old war is exciting. Like you said, the stuff the trench warfare, the mustard gas, the biplanes, all the stuff that they can do with this setting is interesting, and I can't wait to play that game, man. I mean, it really looks like an exciting time.
Yes, it does.
And that was how they wrapped up the show. That was it. Battlefield 1. That was the finale for the show. So I ask you guys overall, what were your thoughts on the EA Play presser, Franklin?
Too much sports, not enough Mass Effect, but Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 1 definitely day one buys for me.
Cool. Bender, overall thoughts on the Play presser?
Star Wars. No, no, it was good. They didn't have as much sports as they did in previous years. There was no 20-minute Pele section, and there was no hoop god, so that was good. It's a little more balanced this year, but like Frankie said, well, not enough Mass Effect. I don't care about the sports stuff, but the Star Wars stuff and Titanfall 2 and Fee and all that stuff that looked cool. So overall, it was a decent show.
Brent?
I liked what I saw. I mean, I liked the Battlefield stuff looked good. I'm excited for the multiplayer. I saw the Titanfall 2. I saw some campaign. I got to hear a little bit about what the story's going to be about. I'm excited about that. That was good. The only sports thing that was strange was just how FIFA is basically taking the story approach from NBA 2K. Was it 15 that did that? They had like a single player campaign. They're moving it into FIFA The Journey.
They used to do that in the Sony NBA game, which I really liked, man.
Really?
NBA The Life or whatever it was called.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting, but the sports stuff I can do without Madden until NFL 2K, whatever it's gonna be, and then until the next NFL 2K game comes out.
It's not happening, bro.
Come on,
It's not.
be positive.
It's gone.
But and then as far as like Star Wars and Mass Effect goes, I mean, it's good to see those games, but I didn't get the hype that I would normally get from like an official trailer, to kind of get people stoked. But it's good to see that they're coming along well. Both the Star Wars and the Mass Effect, and those are something that we can look forward to in 2017 and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, my sentiments echo much the same on what you guys think. I mean, at the end of the day, the press conference was okay. It was bookended by some incredible looking experiences in Titanfall 2 and Battlefield 1. Those look exciting every time we see them. But the Mass Effect reveal was disappointing. I mean, EA Sports is a huge brand for this franchise. It brings in millions and millions of gamers every single year. So it's understandable that they would spend time on the conference at these games. This is what it is, and whether we get into these games or not is one thing. But, they have to spend the time on it. Do they have to spend as much time on it as they do? Maybe not. That's something they can maybe work on. But, so you got the sports stuff in there. You got the Mass Effect stuff. The Star Wars, we didn't get to see much from them. Fee looks cool. So there were some missed opportunities with this conference for sure. And I thought we were going to see a lot more. I thought this had a chance to be just a slam bang, like just drop the mic type of conference for EA, and it wasn't. So we'll see what the future holds. But that's going to wrap up our first reaction video here. Stay tuned to the channel here as we cover Bethesda. 10 p.m. Eastern tonight, the conference goes live. Not sure. Do we know how long this conference is going to be? Probably an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Hour and a half. After that, we'll bring you another one of these live reaction videos. So stay tuned for that on our channel here. Make sure you're following us at the Short Pause all throughout E3. We're gonna have all the news. We're gonna inundate Twitter with all of the latest and greatest in the world of gaming. Brent, is there anything else we need to let the people know before we get out of here?
Visit the website, www.shortpause.com. All the press conferences, all of our reaction videos will be up on our E3 Central page. Just come to www.shortpause.com. It's right on the right-hand side of the screen. It says E3 Central. We'll have our videos, live streams, and our podcast as well. So we got a lot of stuff planned for this week. Check out the site. Come to that page. Bookmark it. We'll keep it updated. I'm also going to create another section on that page with all the trailers that we've seen from the past week. And yesterday, I know we had the Injustice trailer. We saw a couple other trailers, so we'll have that up on there as well.
Nice. Yeah, so we will have you covered to the best of our ability over the course of E3 this week. So we got Bethesda tonight. Tomorrow we've got Microsoft and Sony and Ubisoft. So it's going to be an exciting couple days here in the Short Pause offices as E3 gets rolling here in earnest. But on behalf of these fellas here, Brent, Ben, and Frankie, I'm the other Ben. We'll see you guys later this evening after the Bethesda conference. Thanks for watching.
See you, everybody.
Guys.
See ya.